Just take us through, first of all, the headline numbers. Where are the seat numbers at overall?
The Labor Party has 86 seats, the Coalition 39. I think later this afternoon, it looks like Labor's set to win 3 more seats, which has been the ACT, Southern ACT seat, where an independent has challenged the preference counts are coming through and indicating Labor is getting enough preferences to hold that. Franklin in southern Tasmania, where Julie Collins, the Agriculture Minister, was challenged by Peter George, an independent contesting on the salmon farming issue. At this stage, he's not getting enough preferences to win that seat, so Labor's hanging on there. And Fremantle in Western Australia, where independent Kate Hewlett was challenging Labor's Joss Wilson. Again, he's getting enough preferences, so he should be able to hang on to those seats. So if that trend continues, Labor will get to 89 seats with still some more they could possibly win. 89
seats, can you put that in perspective for us? How significant a majority is that in a historical sense?
Well, that's an enormous majority. I mean, that's 11, 60, that's about a 27, 28 seat majority. Tony Abbott was elected with 90 seats. So it's on a par with that. Of course, the minor party vote is much larger these days and the major party vote lower. But the Abbott landslide in 2013, that's of a similar scale to what Labor's achieved here in seats.
And there was just recently a call made in the seat of Wills. That was a really interesting race between Labor and the Greens. Labor came out on top there?
Yeah, Labor lost the on-the-day vote and narrowly lost the pre-poll vote, but they've got a huge majority in the postal votes. And at this stage, I don't think there's enough absent votes to turn that around. So we expect Peter Khalil to hold Wills with a margin of about a bit over 1% at the end.
What do you make of the count in Melbourne? Is Adam Bandt in trouble there?
He remains in trouble. Adam Bandt needs 33% of the preferences. He's currently only getting about 26, 27% of the preferences. Now, that number I've got is currently a bit biased by the postal vote count. But the pre-polls, the polling day votes as they come in, have not been providing that much help. They've all been around 65, 64, which is not quite to the Labor Party, which is not quite enough for Adam Bandt. But there's a lot more counting to come. There's no pre-poll counts yet. But Labor is definitely ahead in that seat at the moment. We're projecting from the preference count we have to the final figures. There's no pre-polls, so we don't have preference counts for those, but that's the current projection.
So Adam Bandt remains in strife, you would say? Like this is a real possibility?
The seat is in doubt. He is behind. And if a seat is in doubt and you're behind, it's always harder for you to win. But as I said, he needs 33% of preferences. He's not currently getting that. But the preference count and flow does tend to vary from polling place to polling place, depending on which is the largest third party. In areas where the Liberals got the most vote, the flow to Labor is stronger. In the areas where the Liberal vote was lower, the Greens do better.
What about some of the Teal seats? There's a lot of interest in Goldstein and in Kooyong as well. Have you got a sense of where those races are at?
Goldstein is trending towards Tim Wilson recovering it. He's taken the lead today, solid majorities in all the postal vote counts so far. So at this stage, you'd say the seat is trending towards being won by Tim Wilson, being won by the Liberal Party, and Zoe Daniels being defeated. I think we need a bit more counting to confirm that, but he's taken the lead today. Independents traditionally don't do well with absent votes, and there's more postal votes to come, so it's not looking good for Zoe Daniels, it's looking good for Tim Wilson. Just Bradfield first in New South Wales. The Liberals have taken a very narrow lead there today. Again, it's the postal votes that have turned the lead around for Nicolette Buller, who was the leading independent there. She's now dropped behind, and again, she needs to turn that around on later postal votes and absent votes, which again tend not to favour the independent. Monique Ryan in Kooyong is still ahead, but again, the lead has narrowed because of postal voting.
And this was a bit of a shift from election night. We kept hearing we've got to wait for the pre-polls, the postal votes to come in, and that sort of late shift to the Liberals does seem to be happening in some of these seats?
It's particularly happening in these independent held seats. I think, like in Goldstein, the swing is about 10% on postal votes, which is the opposite of the on-the-day votes. It's an enormous swing. Whether that's look, you'd normally expect with a sitting member that they do well with postal votes. Perhaps it's an indication that the independents have not been as well organised on postal votes as party members tend to be. So the Liberals have had an advantage in the postal votes perhaps because the independents haven't been as good at getting those postal vote applications out. I don't know. I presume there'll be a lot of post-mortems afterwards, but certainly in the 2 Victorian independent-held seats, there's been a substantial shift back to the Liberal Party, and certainly the Liberals are favoured now to win Goldstein. Kooyong, I haven't looked at the figures in the last hour, but that was narrowing as well. And the Liberals look like they should be able to retain Bradfield now as well. But again, these are close contests.
Can I just quickly touch on what happened in Keith Wallahan's seat of Menzies? It seems like there was a bit of a mishap with the AEC earlier today.
Yeah, look, something on election night, there was the biggest of the pre-poll centres, and some of these pre-poll centres are enormous. And there was some sort of tallying error, and a higher first preference vote for Keith Wallahan was reported, which was lower in the final count when it came to check. And there's some dispute about how that happened. Of course, it's about 1,700 votes. Now, it may be the AEC has given a perfectly reasonable explanation. The Liberal Party is asking for further information about what this was about. If this comes down to a very narrow outcome, this could end up in court. Because if the number of votes in dispute is greater than the margin of victory if Labor wins, then there's perfect grounds for a challenge to the result.
That's really one to watch. Just finally, Antony, this of course is your last election broadcast, but it feels like you haven't left the building for days. When's the ABC going to let you sleep?
I got a reasonable amount last night, but look, I mean, these days we're getting a lot of rethrows of preferences, and that's what I've been looking after today with all these seats. So seats like Bean, Franklin, Fremantle, Melbourne, Bendigo. I'm still waiting to get some decent figures. Sometimes you get bad samples in these, and you just have to wait and see what comes in later. But at the moment, with the exception of Bendigo, I'd say that the Labor Party is looking better in all of these seats. Bendigo just haven't got enough figures on. Griffith and Brisbane are firming up for Labor. So as I said, they've got a definite 86. I think they're going to end up with 89, and there's other seats they can win, which would take them into the low 90s, which would be an astonishing result, given what everyone was saying before the election.